Okay, guys, we are live. This is Dave's LFC Chats. I'm going to have a lovely little chat today. We're going to vent a small bit of steam from the kettle. Nothing major. No need to panic in the thumbnail, as I said earlier, but not just yet anyway. I mean, 2 draws, 2 points. We didn't lose the games. We haven't been beaten in 2021, actually, in the Premier League, which is wow. But we do need to win games, and we've United up next. But we will talk about the game last night, the 1-1, the Darwin Núñez sending off, everything, the midfield, the injuries. And to chat about that, as usual, is Keith at Eaton Ryan on Twitter in the house, looking very smart and intelligent with those glasses. And below us, the man that is usually on the web with a name like Spider, it is Kev in the house from Cork. 2 top reds. We're going to have a lovely little chat, as I say. Keith, first you. Last night, synopsis on the 1-1. No need to panic yet?
No, don't think so. Not just yet, to be honest with you. It's not too long ago now where we're beating City, all ends up in a cup, in a charity shield, and looking like we're all set for the season. And when you look at it, I suppose over the last 2 games, you know, we're creating chances. We've created more chances than any other football team over 2 games.
Yeah.
So that's not an issue for us. The first game is can be one of those, you know, first game of the season, batshit crazy, lots of stuff goes on, and it's a very entertaining draw. Not at the races, but still probably should have won the game in terms of the chances we created, hitting the woodwork twice. Last night, we come out all guns blazing. First 10 minutes, it's like sit back, relax. This is going to be a show tonight, lads. And how many are we going to get? And then a degree of complacency seems to set in. And the same thing that's been happening for the last, I think, six league games or something, where we concede first. And when we concede first, we seem to run out of ideas. So listen, it's not. There's certainly, you know, there's certainly room there for concern, but there's also some room there for optimism. You know, we've got a relatively new side that looks like the team is trying new things on the pitch, which I think we have to, because we're struggling against low block week in, week out. We've trying to bed in Núñez. We're trying to get Trent doing some different things. So there's lots of different stuff going on at the moment from what I can see, and all it takes time. Problem we have is that we don't have time. You don't have time when you're against a machine like City, who will just steamroll and go 8 points ahead of us in the blink of an eye. And in this league, over the first 10 games, if you've got a rocky up and down first 10 games, that's typically the way the rest of the season goes. You know, so
it's unforgivable as well, isn't it? It's unforgivable. I mean,
yeah.
I'm on about the league. I'm on about the TikTok fanboys. I'm talking about the idiots that were on Twitter in the last 24 hours talking absolute fucking shite. FSG out and Klopp out and all this crap. You know, even death threats to fucking the guy that got Núñez sent off. I don't know whether you've seen that or not, but just complete fucking plant pots, whatever you want to call them. But I mean, Kev, look, obviously Liverpool, we said it in loads of podcasts pre-season, Liverpool have to start the season well. They have to be on the front foot. They have to win a string of games in a row, because City are probably going to do it. Even though City usually starts slow, they've won the last 2. They've looked dangerous. Obviously, Haaland's there and stuff like that. But we've only got 2 draws. Now, they're not losses. They could have went either way. We could have won them. We actually could have lost them. We could have lost both of them, and we could have won both of them. That's how much topsy-turvy fucking bullshit. We make a lot of chances. Defensively, we still look a little bit niggly. But I think the problem is our midfield, which we will talk about. But last night, obviously you watched the game last night. What were your thoughts on the game last night? I mean, as Keith said, I think it's the last 6 games we've given away the first goal. So the whole impetus going into the game is keep it tight. Don't give away the goal. Get the first goal and build, instead of saying, oh, fuck, we're 1-0 down. We need at least 2 to win the game here. It just changes the whole dynamic.
Yeah, you know, as Keith said, you know, we've gone 1-0 down in the last few games, but you know, I'm not disappointed with the style of play. I mean, we played well. We're still dominating the game when we're on the ball. I am disappointed with how easily we're losing the midfield in certain games, in certain situations, and not getting back enough. You know, I said it about Henderson looks a little bit leggy even for the start of a season. So, but then he came on and looked fairly sharp last night. So maybe, you know, this alternating role for him might suit him as the season goes on. We're obviously light in defence without Matip or Kanate in there, and it showed last night. But you know, it seems to happen. I'm just kind of glad we didn't lose the head too much. We kind of the minute you know Núñez went off and he did lose the head a bit. You know, we reacted in the right way. And, you know, fair use to Luis Diaz for stepping up as he did. And I'm pretty much taking the game on his own shoulders, because Salah didn't see too much. He seen it earlier on in the game, but he wasn't seeing too much of it. He was doing well out in that wing, and he was playing well in between himself, Elliott, and Trent. Yeah, so like he was doing well, but he wasn't seeing too much. But I mean, that guy Nunes just learned a valuable lesson with playing in the Premier League, and how aggressive defenders can be up against you, and he has to take this on the chin and learn from it, really. I know he was kind of stepping up into him. I personally don't think it was a headbutt that he was going for. I just think he just kind of stepped up into him, and your man just kind of milked it and went straight into him, and made it look like a headbutt, really.
Yeah.
But he was trying to do that the whole game. I'm not too worried about the season going on. I remember City had like 1 win in their first 5, was it, last season? They had a couple of draws, or first 4, and a couple of draws, a loss or something like that in there. And then they went on a run of 14, 16 games in a row. And we're capable of doing that, no problem. We just have to get our heads down, do the right thing, and start with United next week to start off our season. That's exactly the only way I can see it. That's the start of our season next week.
I think that's a catalyst game. I mean, if we beat them, I know they're shite at the moment. We all know how fucking shite they are. We've 10 injuries at the moment. I'm hoping 2 or 3 will clear up before Monday. Well, I think they'll give us a game. I mean, that'd be a catalyst for them. I mean, if they won that, that's fucking kickstarts their fucking season as well. You know what I mean? That's one way of looking at it. But they are shy. If we play any way what we should play, even with a fucking weak inside, we should be too fucking good for them. But you never know. On Old Trafford, it could be a walkout. There mightn't even be anybody. It could be like the empty head stadium, no one at the fucking ground. It could be like that on Monday night. Nobody knows. But
I don't expect United to go full defensive, like the other teams do against us. So I think they'll
play him on Martinez. I'd say they play Varane instead, something like that. But that's why I wanted Nunes on the pitch against fucking United. You know what I mean? I mean, he's missing now. Jota's missing. But back to last night, I mean, I said it to Keith earlier. I was talking to him earlier. Our midfield, I'm not blaming Milner. He's, 36, 30, nearly 37. I mean, you had Fabinho for me. I don't know. Keith, I said it to you earlier, but Fabinho for me has dropped off. His energy levels, even his passing, even his simple little 1-2s has really dropped. And that's a worry for me more than anything.
I think he has stages in every season. He's joined the club where he goes through periods of time where that happens to him. I think he's a confidence player. I think when his confidence is really up, I don't think there's anybody like him, to be honest with you, in the position he plays. But I also think he can suffer a little bit from a confidence perspective.
Yeah.
And you could see certainly against Fulham, and you could see it again. And when Crystal Palace started to work in midfield, that his head dropped a little bit. He looked like he was hobbling for a little bit. Didn't look to be interested as much. Wasn't closing off. So that's in his game. I've seen it season after season. To be honest with you, I do expect him to come back as he normally does and bounce back. And you're right, he is a catalyst. It's just amazing in that particular type of game against a low block, where he's gone with Fabinho and Milner, and then put a huge amount of pressure on Harvey Elliott. Now Harvey Elliott, I thought, was probably one of our better players in terms of doing bits and pieces around the fringes. Didn't think he was massively effective, to be honest with you. Didn't think he created a huge amount. But he linked up well, he closed down, and he kept the ball moving, which was great. But against a low block team, you've got 2 defensive-minded players who aren't going to give you very much from a creativity perspective, putting a huge amount on Harvey Elliott, and they just had our number after the first 10 or 15 minutes, to be honest with you. And we just continue to do that same thing, long drifting balls over to the wing, and then a hopeful 25, 30-yard cross into the box. Like, we have to be better than that. We have to be better than that. We have to retain the ball, bring them in, work them out.
Predictable, wasn't it?
Far too predictable. Far too predictable. We were that way we only actually looked like we changed it up a bit when we went down to 10 men. And then we were trying different things. I thought Salah and Diaz in the first half were equally as poor. Gave us very little. Diaz didn't look like he'd any confidence, didn't look like he wanted to take a man on, kept coming back inside and laying the ball off, even in a 1-on-1 situation where you want to just go at and go wide and try and get something out of it. He didn't do it. Salah was pocketed. No 2 ways about it. Absolutely pocketed. It was up his arse. Mitchell was up his arse every time he got the ball. Up his arse. Didn't give him anything. Pulling, yanking out of him. Referee was letting everything go. Fucking everything go. Never seen anything like it from that dickhead. Anyway, he let absolutely everything go, right? Now, Diaz comes out in the second half when we go down to 10 men, and he's like a man possessed. Like a fucking man possessed. He's gone, right, I'm taking this game by the scruff of the balls. And that's what he did, right? And fair play to him. And fair play.
I even thought young Carvalho, who came on, was very good. At least he was attacking.
Showed his great immaturity in a couple of situations, to be honest with you. Gave away a couple of silly fouls when we were when we were building. But listen, that's a learning curve for him, to be honest with you. You know, but like, why do we leave Case on the bench? Seasoned midfielder, and you're bringing on Carvalho, and he's just left there. And when he can make 5 subs, and we're chasing the game, and you're looking for someone to break, I just don't understand that. I think there was a game in Gomez. I don't think we need to worry about Gomez not playing 90 minutes. And again, against their defense, he probably should have started Gomez and got 2 goals up, and then rested him, then took him off as a precaution rather than the other way around. So there was a couple of things that just didn't make an awful lot of sense to me last night. But as I said, we don't know what's gone on in the camp during the week. There's obviously been a lot of stuff going on, so you got to trust Klopp to make the right decisions. But I think from next week, to be honest with you, he has to play Keita, and I think he has to play Henderson from a cover perspective, and he has to play Fabinho because that's all we have available. Those 3 have to start, and then let's see what we can make up front. To be honest with you, So listen, we're creating a huge amount of chances. We're also not hitting the target, right? I'll shut up now in a second. We're not hitting the target. The amount of shots we had last night that just aren't hitting the target. Salah had 2 or 3. Nunez has 2 or 3. Milner has a great chance earlier on. Blazes over the bar. You know, Carvalho, all right, that's a tough one. Elliott had one as well. Huge amount of shots that now we're not hitting the target. Yeah,
Carvalho's just closer than most of them.
It was close, but then it's not on target. You know, the keeper doesn't have to do anything. And I think if we could start getting a few of these on target, something's going to give. It's going to go in off the post. The keeper's going to fumble. It's going to bounce back out. We get a little bit of luck. You know, we're too precise, to be honest with you, on some of this stuff now. And it seems to be the same. It seems to be the same week on, week out. Huge amount of chances, huge amount of shots.
What I've noticed is a lot of the underlapping runs don't seem to be happening that often. You know, when Klopp used to play a system where even though Robertson would run outside, you'd have Diaz making that run inside, and every time Robertson's turned inside, that ball is not going into that position in the corner of the boxes anymore. It's going back across to Fabinho, but it's not being handed to somebody like Carvalho or Diaz or whoever else is inside. And that used to be inside in those pockets. I don't know where that plays come from, but it used to be that triangle play used to open up teams something savage, you know, because that guy would lay it off into somebody in the midfield who would run on, and that would be over the top and crossed in. It was always a goal nearly. I don't know why the underlapping is stopped. Maybe Klopp is just too worried about getting counter-attacked when he plays that way, but I don't understand it really. But look, for me, Trent is an ideal person to also come into the midfield. He's been playing there since last season anyway. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but he's been playing on the right-hand side of that midfield since last season, and he's barely been in the back line, only when we're under a bit of a cosh. But like you can see him, he was playing in the Gerrard. The ball that he gave to Salah yesterday was fantastic over the top, and he can easily play that creative midfield role if he's given out. If we can get somebody in like Maguire or Ramsey and season him in a bit and give him games on right back, even if we used to stick Milner or Gomez in there. When Kanate and Matip are back, there's more than enough capable players of sitting there on the right back and letting Trent a bit more loose in the midfield on purpose rather than just kind of drifting in there and leaving ourselves open in the right back. So he's already made. If we're not going to buy a midfielder, he's already made a guy that can come in and do that job there. I think he's been doing it anyway since last year, and it's like Klopp has given him that freedom because he wants to see it himself. So I don't know if anybody else has noticed how often he's been playing in the midfield.
I think that's where the problem lies, is that he doesn't trust them necessarily, because Klopp has always wanted the combative midfield. He wants energy. He wants that's where the engine is, in the middle of the park. He wants players closing down. He wants he realistically sets the team up that the front 3 go ahead and win the game. That's it. You go ahead and you win the game. It's not really the responsibility of midfield to create, and I think that plays into low block, to be honest with you. So I don't think he actually trusts Trent to play in that position, to be honest with you, because I don't think he'll ever give us enough defensively. I think he's not going to track back. He's not going to do that kind of work. I don't think he has the engine or the legs to be able to do the work rate that Klopp wants. I think that could be the reason why he doesn't do it. It does seem like a logical thing to do, but I don't think it fits into his system. I don't think it fits in at all, to be honest with you. I think
he's change it now, Keith. Anyway, he's not going to change it 2 games.
No, he's not. He's an absolute talent in terms of but he's an absolute talent in terms of his delivery of the football. Absolutely. But he doesn't give us a huge amount defensively, and I don't think anyone can throw around and say that he does. I think potentially he could. I think on his day he can be quite good defensively, to be honest with you. But they seem to be more. It seems to be more the exception than the rule with him when he's defending. So listen, as we said, it's not by any means doom and gloom from anyone's perspective. I think the biggest probably knock is missing Nunez out for 3 games, and then he'll have to be reintroduced into the side and to get him going again, to be honest with you. He had chances last night, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
he had chances. He had 2 very good chances that he should
actually, I think he mishit the one he hit off the post. I don't think he caught that at all.
I think it's good covering, but the defender just gets in and puts him off, but he should be stronger. And the second one he's put through from Salah, he should be a lot stronger than that. You know, he has the pace. You know, he should be just slotting that away, to be honest with you. You know, should be slotting it away. And I think it's going to find us a little bit of time to actually play to his strengths, to be honest with you. You know, but as we said, the problem is that, you know, we need to find a way to start winning football games before we start rocking and rolling, you know. So we just need to find a way to get over the line. I think we need to start scoring earlier. I think if we have periods of pressure at the start of the game, that needs to be sustained. I don't know why we don't. I don't know. We seem to be taking 2-3 touches every pass. You know, there is a degree of nervousness there. There's a degree of lack of confidence in some areas. And I think you're right, Dave, you pointed out in midfield, we do seem to be taking an extra touch. We do seem to be taking on the safe ball all the time. You know, working it from wing to wing through the channels.
Yeah, instead of going forward with it. It's all back and forward, like the way we used to play.
Yeah. Like
when you're a confident team, when you trust your players in front and behind you, then you can go forward. You know what I mean? I don't think they trust that. Just something's wrong there. Something is wrong there. We've injuries, we know, but look, we're not blaming the injuries as well. We're not even blaming the bad refereeing last night, to be fair. I think that team was good enough to beat Palace. I mean, we, as you just said, we had enough bleeding chances. Palace had 2 or 3 other chances where they probably, your man missed an opener sliding in the far post. I don't know how he missed that. But if you point
we're down to 10 at that stage, chasing the game. You know,
we probably three times the amount of chances. I mean, 3 times the amount of the ball.
Listen, we should be 3 up. We should be 3 up before they get a sniff, to be honest with you. And we're not, you know, through poor decision making, you know, a little bit of poor quality on the final third or some poor quality in the box. Now, listen, they threw themselves at it. You know, they threw themselves a couple of decent blocks, a couple of good defensive. Like, you're going to get that for Palace, but we should be good enough. I thought the crowd was poor last night as well. You know, didn't really start getting behind until we went down to 10 men. I don't know what that was about, to be honest with you. When you were saying about a season ticket holder sold their tickets or something, maybe to hold on to the rest of the season. But God, it was flat last night for an 8 o'clock kickoff.
Yeah. But did you see the guy in the United flip flops? The guy standing there, I don't know if it was in the cop, he's standing and it's Chinese fella, he's on his phone, and a fella takes a picture of him. There he has a pair of flip flops on.
Sliders.
United sliders on the fucking. What the fuck? Oh, for fuck's sake. We're letting anybody in now. And your man's going, I can't even get a ticket into the fucking, this type of thing. He probably wore his brother's dad's flip flops on him. You wouldn't know. But look, guys, I'm not going to panic just yet. As we say, we've a few days to work on it. I'm hoping the likes of a Jones, maybe even a Matip, come back into the fold. Naby, a good week of training for Naby. So, I'd love Jota there for the United game, but I think it might be a bit too early for him. They're all over the fucking shop. They really are. 2 Brighton, 4-0 Brentford. I watched the game. I couldn't fucking believe it. 35 minutes gone, Keith and Kev. I mean, 34-0 down. It could have been worse. Yeah. I think Brentford just relaxed in the fucking second half and just took the foot off the bleeding. But it's Old Trafford. It's under the lights. And there's no better team they'd like beating than us. And it's the other way around. But for them, it would be a real caveat to beat us. You know what I mean? And get them fucking up and going again. They probably lose fucking 6 games after that. But
we had, I think last season when we beat them 5-0, I think we had 2 games before that where we drew the 2 games before that, was it? And then we went to Old Trafford and absolutely took them apart. So hopefully it's the same as then, and then it kicks on our season really, because I mean we were a good few points behind. Remember, like we were good. How long was it, like 14, 16 points behind City at one stage last season, and then we just to come within a point. We'll just show you that we are a stronger second half of the season team in the last couple of seasons, but so are City. And but they seem to be starting weaker. But if they start strong, maybe they'll have a dip in the middle. But the World Cup is going to play into this as well. Hopefully players come back and it could be a completely different second half of the season, which teams are strong and which teams are weaker, so it's going to be a weird season. And I think anyway, going forward, like in the second half, especially after that World Cup, it's going to be a weird one. You're going to see some surprises in there, I think, but from us, I'm not worried. It's at the start of the season. We are doing a few players, but really, I mean, Thiago is probably our longest term out, is he? He's
Ox is out till October, but he's not really a first teamer. Thiago, I think, the first week in September.
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks.
When is Jota back?
Jota's another 2 weeks, I think.
Okay, all right. So that's good. So that's around Newcastle game, maybe.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see if he gets involved in that. And then there's like a game every 4 days. Then after that, once we hit September, because they're piling everything into the schedule, and especially with the Champions League and all that coming up right up until November. So
if he's not looking at it, if he's not looking at a system change in terms of us looking more about maybe a 2 and then 3 and a 1. Obviously, we can't do that till Nunes comes back. Yeah. Like we do look light in midfield. There's no two ways about that. There's no two ways about that. We look light in midfield. We look light in midfield with the personnel we have. Injury, age. We look a little bit light, to be honest with you, in terms of somebody who can really just step in there. You can't really expect Carvalho and Elliott to step up, although Elliott's done really well. I think what's going to be interesting is how he sets up front next Monday night. Will he shift Salah into the middle and then look to bring somebody else on the right hand side? I think he'd have to do that. So you have to take a look at it anyway. Play Salah to the
Depends
middle.
on who's available.
Probably Harvey maybe can go up that right hand side. That's a more natural position, I think.
Yeah,
he played that way for Blackburn as well. So you're probably looking at a Diaz, Salah, and Elliott front three for next week. That's what I would play.
Fab midfield.
Yeah. It's going to be a big game for Herve, to play away at Old Trafford. But he's going to learn a lot, and he's trying to create. I think he's just trying to do too much on the ball himself. But he's doing the right things. But he's just leaving himself a little bit slack when it comes to being able to create chances or get his head up to see who's available or what. Because he's always trying to just keep possession, because that's his number one goal, is not to lose possession and make himself look bad and drop the head and stuff. So once he starts adding that more to his game, he's going to be unstoppable. So
he works well with Salah, to be honest with you. So I think that triangle on the right hand side of Henderson, and as long as everyone's fit, Henderson and Elliott and Salah, it also gives us a lot more protection on the right hand side for Trent.
Yeah,
and Robbo will give us that more protection, and then maybe look to put Keita on the left hand side.
Elliott won a lot of balls last night. He nicked him when he was tracking back. He got his foot in there a few times and won the ball back and knocked it back to Fabinho or back to Phillips, and he did that well, I think. So that's another thing that's been adding to his game. So that's good, but he just hasn't been creating enough going forward. That's all.
I think what's important as well, I think Emma Kelly's saying there's something about 10, 12 points before the World Cup. I think the World Cup's in November. I think it's important just to stay on City's coattails. If you're a few points behind, even 4 or 5 points, come back after the World Cup, anything could happen. You know what I mean? Just to stay within that zone. Don't go too far. We're 4 points behind them at the moment. We have to start winning games, and it has to start on Monday night against fucking United at Old Trafford. What a great way to restart your season, really, doesn't it?
And they've got their bogey team as well in Palace this weekend, haven't they? City.
David, a tough one, City, Look, I think City are only playing within themselves, to be fair. Spider at the moment, they 4-0 against Bournemouth the other day. It could have been bleeding, anything. I think even Haaland didn't even score, that type of thing. He had a few chances, but no, I think City will win a lot of the games, unfortunately, and it's up to us. We'll have to beat City. We'll have to beat City. At least draw and win them. Definitely at least beat them and draw against them. Hopefully beat them twice, but I think we'll have to beat them this season to have any fucking chance of doing anything. What do you think, guys? Do you think there's we got 2 weeks left in the window? Do you think he'll dip in? Or do you think he'll stick or twist? Or do you think he'll just say, listen, we don't know. He'll know more about the length of injuries in positions than we will. I'm guessing here saying 2-3 weeks. It might only be a week. That type of way. But my issue now would be, let's say they come back before the end of September. But these are the type of players that can get these fucking niggles again in September and October. And it's too late. The window's closed till January.
Well, so, when you're sitting there with a bench with Clarkson and Bajcetic in there that don't have Premier League experience.
Lads,
you got to look at it.
What do you do, Keith? Do you dip in? I don't know.
I don't think we're going to dip in. I haven't heard any noise around the fact that we're looking to. The only noise I've heard is that we're happy enough the way it is, and it looks like we're saving all of our money for Bellingham next year. That looks like it's, that looks like to be that, unless something happens where we're forced. Now, that's not to say we don't do something and bring somebody else who can do a job towards the tail end on loan, but it doesn't look like anybody with significant potential is being lined up. Now, listen, we've done a bit of a madness before in the past. Not to say we couldn't do it again, but it doesn't look like. I don't think Klopp is really interested in bringing players in a week to go or 2 weeks to go, in terms of he likes to get the players in, get it all done and dusted early. So I think if the only way we'll do it is if our hand is forced. I don't think there's any plans or something happens economically whereby it'd be absolutely fucking mad for us not to do something. I think other than that,
he did say something about 2 weeks ago which caught my eye, talking about emergencies, and if we have to do it, we'll do the right thing. And he didn't close the door on it.
He never does.
I've seen him in interviews saying, "No, that's it. I'm happy with what I've got." He hasn't really said that.
It would have to be somebody with Premier League experience and maybe a free transfer, or maybe somebody who's cheap enough to bring across. But I don't think he's going to go all out if he is going to go for Bellingham next year.
I don't think it'd be a Bellingham signing or anything like that. I don't think it'd be. I mean, look at your man Matthias Nunes, the guy off Sporting Lisbon. I think Liverpool will be linked with him for about a year. I think Wolves have an agreement in there for 40 million. I mean, he is the type of player we should be going for. But as Keith says, Klopp loves that togetherness. He loves that Boy Scout attitude, where you're all together in the campfire chatting, fucking fishing, catching sharks and whales like fucking Darwin Núñez and Alisson. He loves that camaraderie and everybody being together and ready to rock for the new season. It's rare he brings someone in because of the fact they could upset the apple cart. They could come in and be an absolute wanker.
Listen, we could all be sitting here now in 3 weeks' time, having won back-to-back games, just talking to ourselves. What the fuck are we talking about? To be honest with you, we could just as easy be, that's it. City slip up and get a draw once, and it's a 2-point, So there's nothing in it. So it's so fucking easy. It's so early. There's nothing really necessarily to worry about. Although, I do think we do have to come out with probably 3 wins. To be honest with you, just to keep ourselves back up there and keep on the coattails. And to be honest with you, I haven't seen, I think if we just sort out the few bits and pieces, we have a good, strong, solid camp. We've a lot of time to play for United. We've a lot of time to turn around that match with United. So I'd expect us to do our homework, and I expect us to be at it and up and firing. And as long as we don't get a shitty referee like we got last night,
he just has it out for Klopp, doesn't he?
Yeah,
it's got nothing to do with Liverpool. Like it's just him and Klopp.
Yeah,
just the worst of enemies. And he tries to get himself involved in games where he knows he can dig his coat. Because I mean, he's been involved in a lot of decisions that ruin seasons for us. Cost us titles really by bad decisions.
I know there's definitely a concerted effort by referees this season to let the games go, and I think it is leading towards more. It's definitely leading towards more enjoyable games. To be honest with you, and you can see it after the first 15-20 minutes. There's very little play acting. The lads just get up and they get on with it.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff last night, he was just like
Salah was goalkeeper. I know all goalkeepers do time wasting, but their keeper was taking a piss. It was like fucking Pickford. Remember at Anfield that day?
Yeah.
When Alisson took the piss.
Yeah. It's like Atkinson. Remember when we played Chelsea that time, going for the league that year, the exact same thing, and didn't take any steps to address it, until the 90-odd minute or something, or the 85th minute or something, before he even pulled out a yellow at that stage. It's too late. So it doesn't do anything like that. I actually thought that wasn't really as bad. I thought some of the rough housing went beyond allowing the game to go over. Like, whatever about a 50-50 challenge, get up, get on with it. But, pulling jerseys, manhandling, jumping on players' backs, and then saying, play on, lads, in and around the box. So, and that lens, like I've seen somebody put together a bit of a tape in terms of, Anderson and what he did with Núñez right the way throughout the game, and he was roughhousing him right the way through the game, So he got very little protection from the ref. I thought Salah was absolutely kicked and pulled and dragged down that wing for the entire match. But we still should have had enough. But, any excuse, if he has any excuse to use whatever rules are in play to fucking shithouse us, he'll fucking do it. He'll absolutely fucking do it. And he shouldn't be anywhere near one of our matches. Shouldn't be anywhere fucking near it. Yeah. But anyway. I
don't know much news North read on Jota. As far as I know, he's not far from coming back, but I don't think he's been on the training ground yet. You would have seen it all over Twitter if he would have been. You seen Jota on the fucking training ground. You know what I mean?
There's nothing from the training ground last week. There was no images or pictures or anything from the training ground last week.
No,
I heard somebody say.
I want Jota back. I mean, even have him as an impact sub last 20-25. He gives you something that he nearly gives you a goal. He certainly gives you a few chances and puts a bit of fear in. I would have liked him for the United game, but I can't see it. It's just too close, But as you said, Keith, I mean,
it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world with Diaz and Salah and one other on the right-hand side, potentially Elliott. I don't think that's a bad I don't think that's a bad setup, to be honest with you, up front with that midfield, and as long as everyone's okay at the back. But I think for any team we're playing at the moment, unless we feel like we're going to be under pressure from bombarding balls into the box. Although Phillips started very well, he is susceptible to that long ball. He is susceptible to that ball down the channel. He's a slow turning. He needs the game played in front of him, to be honest.
I thought actually there was a poor decision from Van Dijk to not track Zaha when he seen him running, and instead he just pointed towards Phillips, who was concentrating on something else. Yeah. And he should have tracked that run. If he'd have tracked that run, there'd be no issue there. There wouldn't have been any goal.
And if he keeps going across to cover off that angle for Alisson, well, then he would have forced Zaha to go near post. And he doesn't. He stops and he just goes, right, it's your job now. So So
that was poor.
Bad decision. Super finish. You got to give it to him as well. That was
fantastic.
It was a fantastic finish.
I tell you what, another thing, Alisson was very good last night. He fucking saved us once or twice coming out. Very fast off his line. Could have been
one of the reasons we play that system, But we should be playing with two. We should be playing with two thoroughbreds. We should be playing with two thoroughbreds. Like with Gomez come on last night, he just changed that. He just cut that out completely. There was no other real threats down that. He brought the ball into midfield. It was the right pass. And what he actually did on a few occasions was he didn't just go out to the wing. He played the ball played the channel. He played it through into the feet. And got us up the position. So I thought he played very well when he came on.
You forget how fast he is, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
how good he is at interceptions. He's brilliant.
He is, and I think if we can get him in consistently, I think there's still a great player in him. There's still a fantastic centre half. He's just been really unfortunate with a little bit of form. I love how Matt play, but I still prefer the time when Gomez, before he got that broken leg with Ben Mee, and that Sterling one that reoccurred. But it was I thought that was our best centre half. Like, there was nothing getting through us. I mean, Van Dijk wasn't getting dribbled past. I think Gomez was only dribbled past twice in that entire season. So like that just goes to show you. I think that was one of our strongest defences. I'd love to see Gomez getting back to his best, because I think that's why he stayed. There's nobody wants to sign on for Liverpool to be a 4-choice centre back. He's telling them, I know we brought Ibu in, and I know we have Matip there, but Matip is 32 now, 33 or whatever like that. He says it's pretty much you and Ibu as you're going forward. If Matip is starting to pick up niggling injuries again, he always gets the same reoccurring one every season, So there's a big chance for Gomez getting in there, because if we had noticed, he doesn't get injured. He gets how would you say, he gets broken legs, or he gets something like that. He doesn't pick up niggling injuries all the time, which is the issue. So
do you remember he needs to get playing for England? He was training for England.
Yeah, that was Sterling that did that one.
And he fucking twisted his ankle.
Yeah. Sterling wrapped his leg around him or something. That's what that was, because there was pictures of that and everything. Yeah, so that's the one I was on about.
Yeah, I think listen, the long and the short of it, there's nobody better than us once we score first. There's no better than us at managing games and seeing games out and managing to pick teams off, right? Once we go score first. We just have to stop fucking conceding first. Because once you concede first, it gives something to hang on to, and it gives an extra bit of impetus for all that low block, no matter who we play against, to be honest with you. Unless it's City, everybody else does the same thing. Spurs, arguably, third, fourth best team in the league, to be honest with you, when they came last, did the exact same thing. And even when we played in some of the games against Chelsea, they did the exact same thing, right? Just look to catch us on the counter attack. So I think we just need to start being a little bit more careful, right? In terms of making sure we convert that early impetus that we have in pretty much every game, that we just, be a bit more clinical. And then if we're not that bit clinical and it's not coming early on, well, then we probably just need to do a little bit more, use the ball more, and not be looking for those, Like when you think about that goal last night, it's a miskicked ball out, side foot from the keeper that just bounces awkwardly, drops to it, and then it's one ball in and they score. Like, that's way too fucking easy. Yeah. Way too easy. Yeah. So listen, that is the recipe. That's the soup. That's what we need to do. Simple, isn't it?
Simple, yeah. Simple when it works, but unfortunately, I think it's confidence as well, Keith and Kev.
The confidence. Once you score first, that's the problem. You see,
that's the problem,
because it's repeated behavior, right? So we're conceding first, and it's like, oh fuck, here we go again, And then you can see how we start going to type in terms of how the patterns of play. It's hopeful balls. It's getting the ball forward too quickly. It's getting the ball in from stupid angles, too far away from the goal. Expecting miracle balls all the time. That's what we fall back to when we concede against a low block. That's what we need to do. We just need to be managing games a little bit earlier from the start to make sure we get that goal, take that chance earlier on, and then you'll see us manage games far better, to be honest with you. So that's something to work on. It's something to work on. Easier said than done, I know.
Yeah, and as you say, it would be nice to get a win. A draw's no use anymore. Fuck it, 3 draws in a row. I mean, that'd be it. We need to beat United on Monday night, and no better place to go and win is Old Trafford. But we want to be on it, though. We got to be on our A game. I mean, they won't fucking... They've been bending over for everybody, but they will not bend over for Liverpool.
So one thing they won't be doing, to be honest with you, they will not be throwing themselves in front of balls. They will not be throwing themselves like Palace did on a couple of occasions. You know, if we do get in and we do get opportunities, and you know, even the keeper's not got massive amounts of confidence at the moment, I do think we'll score, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I think playing against them the way they are at the moment, yes, there's pressure on them, but it's not. I don't think there's any expectation there at the moment. So
they won't be as defensive. They won't be sticking 9 men behind the ball.
No, they will try and come out and play. They will try when they can, to be honest with you. But still, I don't think they have the necessary personnel to be able to match us in the game of football if they try to do that. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they come out to play. If they come out to play, we probably will pick them off, to be honest with you. But it depends. I don't think Den Hag he's more of a possession based type football. I don't think he has that in his locker to play that type of football. But listen, you never know. I'd be amazed if we don't beat them, to be honest with you.
They're terrible coming up from the back. I was watching them trying to pass the ball out.
They're 2 of the goals where the keeper was one. And listen, I mean, we've seen Alisson do it. We've seen all good goalkeepers make mistakes, and if keeper makes a mistake, it's usually a goal. And I mean, he should save that 9 times out of 10. He really, 100 times, 99 times out of 100. And even the other one he's playing, he'd already made that mistake, so he was already nervous, and then. Yeah, man, the pass, a terrible pass. But that's what you've got to do. Liverpool's pressing wasn't up to scratch in the last 2 games either. Our famous team, that's what we're good at. That's what gets us goals. That's what gets us possession. Fucking pressing. That energy is what I meant in the midfield earlier. I was talking about Fabinho. That energy in the midfield we've been missing big time. I think you're right. I think Henderson, we have to start Henderson, Fabinho, and Naby. Now next Monday, I don't think we've any fucking choice. I think Naby will give us some energy.
Well, Naby was fantastic against them against United last year.
Twice,
scored a lovely goal actually.
Yeah. So listen, I think he has to come in, to be honest with you, as long as everything's all right.
Yeah. Do you know what I think he plays, Bobby? I think he plays Bobby because when Bobby had a good game that game as well. Remember? Now we had Jota. Remember, Jota was sliding in, scoring goals and everything, but we won't have Jota this time. I think he might play fucking Bobby this time. We're running out of options in front, lads. You know?
If he's fit, he's fit. That's it. I just love the idea of Salah playing through the middle against them, to be honest with you. They're back. Love the idea. Jesus, Eamon, come on.
Eamon's going for a 1-1. It's a little early to say, listen, I just want to win the game. I don't care if it's fucking...
Never, ever predict 1-1 against that shower shite the way they are at the moment.
We'll never hear the end of it, guys. We know who'll be slagging and everything. My job is 3 or 4 of them. They're fucking... hiding behind lampposts the last few days, and because we've drawn 2 games, they're out fucking go away, you fucking idiots.
Just quiet them down for the next 6 or 7 months now, and that's what you do.
Any type of win, just get the 3 points and move on. They'll have 3 losses in a row. I mean, we only lost 2 games all season. They've lost the first 2 fucking games. That's the way I said it to them today. Hop on to yourselves.
None of those teams are capable of going on the runs that City and Liverpool can.
12, 15 game match runs, winning runs. Spurs aren't available to do that. Arsenal won't do that, and Chelsea won't do that. And people have the audacity to say teams are going to finish ahead of Liverpool. City might, but no one fucking else will.
It's another thing. It's another thing people aren't talking about either, to be honest with you. When you look at both those games could quite easily, apart from us hanging in, and those games could have very easily been 2 defeats, to be honest with you. We weren't at the races against Fulham. That could have been a defeat very easily.
Yeah, could have been,
and you look at playing against down a goal, playing against 11 men last night. Normally, 9 times out of 10, you don't come through, you don't equalise, and then you certainly don't go on to win it. And we could have very easily won that game last night.
Flip side, Keith, we could have won both games.
We could have won both games. We could have won both games, right? So let's just chalk it down to that and see how we get on with United. I think we'll stuff them. So look.
It might have papered over a few cracks if he would have won both games. I mean, that Henderson shot hit the post and was last minute against Fulham. Last night, Carvalho had a great chance, just wide. I thought it was in. I jumped up. I thought it was fucking in. So
I mean, we've big gaps between games as well, lads. It's not just like Monday to Saturday again. It's Monday to Monday. So we have a whole 7-day prep for these games. Even last week, we were the last to play this weekend, so we've had more than enough of a break. more than enough time to try and bed some of the players back in that were injured, like Simicast coming back there now and what have you. Like he got a few minutes on the pitch as well last night, which is a good thing too, because Robbo can get tired because he gives 150% in a game, so he can get tired. So it's nice to have somebody like Simicast to come off the bench, although his crosses weren't a bit on par as they normally are. He's normally a better crosser than that, but no, I think we'll be grand. Naby Keita is back as long as he doesn't take it. If he takes another knock between now and the end of August, then I do think that Klopp will try and dive in for somebody. And that's like my last, because I wouldn't think that Klopp is wants to do anything in this window. But he might be just forced to if something else happens to Naby, or there's if something happens to Hendor,
guaranteed to happen, Naby now. Come on, I mean, you get fucking into playing PlayStation. Going to the library, sitting in the library reading a book, he's fucking twist his ankle or something. So like Naby, definitely. That's my problem. We don't sign anybody. It's the first week in September, and all these guys have these niggles. Thiago's had a niggle. He was lucky last season. He wasn't as bad. Matip wasn't as bad last season, but they have these niggles. Even Gomez, he has niggles. They come back. Could come back to fucking haunt you. I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but that's my problem.
Okay, we might have to bed in Carvalho and Elliott faster than we think then. If he's not going to do any business, they're just going to have to learn the ropes the hard way. And
I think Elliott's a first teamer now. He's been there already. The only thing that stopped him last year was his injury. Carvalho will be the one for me that will probably play a lot more games than would be expected to play for a young lad. And I'm excited about him. I think he's a proper.
We need that Thiago creativity from that side, and Carvalho is the answer out of all the options that we have. I think he's the best answer for that, because he's always looking to pass the ball forward, then go back. So he's always looking for the creative option. So I think he's a good choice to start bedding in there as fast as possible. It's early in the season. We might as well do it now if you're going to do it. I don't think he'll start against United. I think Naby will be there, but I think he'll come on and replace Naby if we're kind of stuck a bit halfway through the second half. We'll see. We've got 5 substitutions now. Why not give it a go? We can always counter the choices afterwards.
Needs to bulk up a bit.
He does,
bit light. Looks a little bit light.
Similar to Trent about 3 seasons ago.
Exactly. So, and Jones was the same thing. Looked a little bit light and then just bulked up. And even Harvey looks a little bit stockier now. That takes a little bit of time. Doesn't happen overnight,
Absolutely.
That's going to have to shoot.
Yeah, Keith, I might do something else this side of Monday. I mean, we're a while away from United. I'll let you know. Thanks for popping in, bro. I'll stay on for a few minutes with Kev. Cheers.
See you, Keith.
Talk to you soon. Kev, great to talk to you. See
you
later.
You too,
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. Well, we stay on for another few minutes, Kev. If you have a few minutes,
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Mark Forrest, who was the man of the match yesterday? I thought, if you asked me the question who I think or who the official one was, I don't know who the official one was, but I thought Elliott was very good yesterday. I thought he was one of the only few shining lights, I suppose, for Liverpool. Carvalho was decent when he came on, and Diaz, especially second half, took, as Keith said, took the game and struck, really by the scruff of the neck, and that was some goal, wasn't it? It was a beautiful goal. Yeah,
it was a beautiful goal. He's a even though he wasn't creating much in the first half, he was still always lively. Diaz, he was running back, he was tracking back the whole time. But that's what you want to see on the pitch when you got a player like that. So he was probably the official man of the match for Liverpool. But yeah, Elliott was a good second shout. Only if he stayed on the pitch longer, he probably would have taken it. But that goal from Diaz, just sealed it for him. Really, that was just a fantastic individual effort. Really, I
thought we'd go on. The atmosphere just changed. I thought we'd go on and win it then, did you?
Yeah,
when that went in, it was bang, right at it. Every ball was going forward. We had a few chances, as I said. Of course, we did have chances. They didn't really have that much once that goal went in. I think there was only going to be one winner if there would have been even another 10, 15 minutes. Similar to the Fulham game. As soon as it went 2-2 in that game, we start taking it over. You can see the confidence psychologically going
massive
through the team.
Yeah, it is. Look, the talent is there, the passing is there, the whole lot. We just have to be a bit more risky in our player outside the possession game. So we need to play a couple of those first time passes rather than just looking for the option to bring it back across the park all the time. So it's harder. Like, I mean, Salah was a bit pocketed yesterday, as Keith said, but if that's the case, then move him into the center. He got a lot more time on the ball when he moved him into the center, and when Nunez was sent off, and look, I would love to see Harvey getting a shout on Monday. As you said, it could be Bobby if he's back and ready to go, because Klopp is going to go with trusted.
Yeah, I think Bobby was only precautionary, wasn't it?
Yeah,
as far as I know, anyway.
Yeah, so it could be that way. But I mean, if that defense is that bad, you really do want somebody running at it, and rather than just holding up the ball and looking for the link play. Because I love Bobby and I love how we play, but he
There's
was
no pace with Bobby though.
yeah, he was the false nine that we used to play with about 3 seasons ago, when it worked perfectly for how we played with that. As I said, that those underlapping runs. But since we don't do them anymore, Bobby's kind of left, kind of just running back with the ball a bit and then laying it off, and that triangle play is kind of gone. I think we need to bring it back and you'll see the best out of Bobby. But yeah, like for me, I'd love to see Salah starting through the middle just to frighten the life out of United on Monday.
And even Carvalho, Carvalho and Diaz either wing.
Yeah,
and have Elliott in midfield, like playing as a 10 in behind, and then have your Fabinho and your Hendo or whatever.
Yeah, I think Hendo is going to start, so that's why I'm unless he puts Harvey up where Salah plays on the right hand side, I think Hendo will just start because he didn't start the game yesterday, and you're going to want your captain for one of the biggest games of the season. So I think him, Fab, and Naby, if Naby is fit, is nailed on. But I just don't like Naby when he comes back from an injury. If he's not ready, he just looks a bit all over the place in midfield. But once he gets going, then he's fantastic. But I'm hoping that he's ready. He's got another week's preparation now, so hopefully he's up to standard. I mean, Klopp won't start him if he doesn't think. Hopefully, like my AD, I think Klopp is because he bought Nunes. I think he is starting to go for that 4-2-3-1 formation. But we'll see what way. There you go, Tommy C. So I think, but it can alternate as well back to 4-1-2-1-2 and also mostly to 4-3-3. So widen 4-3-3. So hopefully he makes the right bloody decision anyway. With regards Naby, if he's ready, if he's not ready, I think that's just the biggest call we're going to see at the weekend. I think it's either Bobby or Salah in the middle, and if that's the case, you're going to have Harvey out the right. But Naby, it's bringing Naby on is going to be the big call. If he gets Naby fit and ready for that game, then it's going to be Henderson, Fabinho, and Naby to play in that middle of the park, I think.
I see as Northred is saying there, like the injuries, these niggles that these players have, these are the type of injuries that can reoccur. That's my issue. In the cold months of October, I know there's a World Cup in November and then Christmas in January. The window doesn't open until January. That's the issue I have. Like, will these? I'm sure Liverpool's, staff there, the guys, the medical staff, and the doctors and the new doctor. Our main doctor, Moxon, left actually. Start last season. He I don't know if that's any problem to do with it, but they'll be able to put more timelines on the injuries and stuff and what should be, how long they should be out for. So Klopp will know a lot more whether he's going to pull the trigger on some sort of a transfer. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because my worry is these niggles come back to haunt us again after they've cleared up in September or October. And then there's no all you can do about it.
There's an easy, cheaper choice to just raid somebody in Italy. You get them cheaper. The wages are low. You could raid somebody in Germany exactly the same way. You're not going to pay about 40 million for most of the players that we'd probably need for that midfield from both of those countries. Because the teams are stuck for the bobs in those countries. Yeah. And they don't see as much as the money as we do in the Premier League for the TV rights deals. So they're always going to they'll bite your hand off for 35 to 40 million for a player. But there's plenty of them out there, that can go for handy money without having to wait for
United are being fucking. United have money. But the problem for United is they're in the fucking Europa League. Yeah. They're not in the Champions League, and they're not exactly fighting for honours at this moment in time. They might get there in time. They have a big fan base and money. If you have those two, obviously a good manager. He seems to be a decent manager. The problem is the owners probably get United is the biggest fucking issue. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I think United will get back to some sort of level within the next 2-3 transfer windows if they stick with the manager. But at this moment in time, I think it's panic, boys, in the next 2-3 weeks for United. You don't know what they're fucking buying. I mean, Casemiro was linked with them before I came on here tonight. They were looking at your man Rabiot off Juventus. His mother's his fucking agent.
Yeah,
they don't think that's falling through. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen the thing on Twitter, the MUTV, the Lou Macari, the old United player. No. He was fucking... I don't know how they let it go on. He was ripping the live on MUTV, which is the official
United TV, yeah.
And he was ripping the fuck out of your man, asking about Rabiot and all these players. He said, I've never heard of them. They're rubbish and all. It's a fucking... And I think United pulled out of the bleeding thing for that reason. Yeah. It just looks fucking clowns.
desperation, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like they're in their own world of trouble. We just have to make it worse for them on Monday, and better our situation. So, they're just not appealing to any of the top players on the planet at the moment. I mean, their best player in their history, as they claim it, the fella that they worship, is desperate to get out of the bloody club again for the second time. So I just can't see. Like I've always wanted to ask, like, the United fans, do you know if he goes again, are they still going to talk about him like this? As their great one in history with how he treated the club and how he's acting now. Like, I couldn't. Like we wouldn't do that for Luis Suarez. Just said, yeah, look, he played well for us, but he's a bit of a shit house when he left us. It's other things like that. I don't know. I think some fans have forgiven Torres for where he went in Chelsea that time, but but I don't know. Like, he's publicly like saying that the club is just not good enough for him. The club that actually made him who he was. Like, I mean, it was either United or Liverpool that Ronaldo was going to go to that time. So so it's either one of them were going to make him big. But you have to understand that Fergie gave him that opportunity as well. So he has to stay a bit humble. That ego of his is just a bit too much for the age that he is.
Similar to Mbappe, I don't know when you seen him walking off the pitch. I look, that's the one reason the Ronaldos, the Mbappes, you could say even the Messis, they've too much power.
Yeah.
It's all about them. It's all about their ego. They would never get into a Liverpool team for that bloody reason. It's nothing to do with the talent and scoring goals. It's all to do with the ego. Liverpool's a football team. All the players are equal in Klopp's eyes when they're on the fucking pitch. You've all their job to do. You got to work hard. You got to do this. Those type of players are luxury players, but they're not Liverpool. Just no chance. Any of them. This Mbappe talk we've been talking about for years. It wouldn't happen. There's too much baggage, Kev. Too much baggage.
It is, man. Dave, you probably know my issue on this. I hate transfer windows simply because it just brings out all the FIFA fans on Twitter, as you call them.
TikTok boys.
Yeah, the TikTok boys. And they're just so fickle about buying. They just think it's a game. Like, that they don't understand what kind of business it is. They just don't understand how football actually works. And they certainly don't understand our manager and his format of how we play. If they're demanding that this player be bought that doesn't even suit the team just because he's a name and just because they want money spent, that does my head in, really. So I just thought, any person I see mention that kind of stuff get blocked instantly on Twitter for me.
Yeah.
They're just not worth listening to. So, like, unless he suits the style of play, he won't be a Liverpool player. It doesn't have to be the biggest name in the world. I mean, how many times do I see somebody saying when we bought something, like when Salah came back to play in the Premier League, and we're like, oh, what are we buying this fella for? So he failed at Chelsea, blah blah blah. I know there was going to be critics, but then they were still at him, even though he was like 13 goals up by the time he hit October or something, So I was kind of saying, these people are clueless. They just want big name signings, and then they won't even watch the games for the rest of the season. They just show up for the transfer windows, and that stuff just does my head in. So that's my rant.
Every fan base has them. Every fucking fan base has it. Some more than most, but we have them as well.
The problem is they're the most talkative on Twitter. They're the ones that
There's two or three of them on Twitter, and you probably know the same names I'm talking about and you're talking about. But like the other thing, just before we go, I'm gonna go now in a minute anyway. Just before we go, I mean, it's all about attitude for Liverpool players. You have to have the correct attitude, background, quality. It's not only about what you can do on the pitch. It's actually what you can do off the pitch is nearly as important to Liverpool. You've got to be, Ronaldo and all these Mbappe. It's just not going to happen. I'm delighted it is not going to happen.
Yeah, you see from day one, Klopp makes world class. He doesn't buy it, and that's the only line you have to live by. Klopp makes world class players. He doesn't buy them, and that's if you don't understand that by now, then as fans, then there's no help. There's no hope for you. So, what's this?
Manuel isn't happy with Núñez after 2 games, is he?
He might have it.
Look, we're not going to sell Núñez now. Let's be real. You know what I mean? That's not going to happen, buddy. Fuck's sake. No. Sorry, ain't going to happen, Manuel Frederico. But Núñez will be grand. Don't you worry. Harvey Elliott's performance was tremendous. He played an important role in our attack all game. Yeah, no, Harvey, as I said, Harvey's one of the standouts last night. There wasn't many standouts. Diaz did well with the goal, especially last, say, half an hour. He was decent. I mean, Hendo did okay when he came on, changed the game, but I think we just needed that energy. We know bloody energy. And any energy coming on made a difference.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah, it was like the substitutions were done well, and we were still controlling the game up until then. I know, like they had one or two chances. I mean, that miss for Zaha when he hit the post we got lucky with that one, but we could have been 4 or 5-1 up before we had that sending off, you know. So I am not worried about that at all. I think we just haven't hit our shooting. We haven't
Shooting
hit.
boots are on,
Yeah, shooting boots on. They're not on the shooting boots, I should say. And I don't I'm not worried. I think we're just going to go on and play our game. I think once you see one or two of the players coming back over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see a different Liverpool. You're going to see chances put away. If Diogo Jota's on the end of that, you know, he's knocking half of those shots into the goal easily. Like, because he's an out-and-out poacher. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, for my there's Eamon. My 4 and 3 for United. I would like to see Diaz, Salah, and Elliott, just for the sake of
Salah in the centre.
So, Salah in the centre all day long, and I think Elliott's he's most effective even when he was at Blackburn, when he was coming in from that right hand side in the wing where Salah plays, and I think it takes off a lot of pressure on him in the midfield as well. He just has to look and create if he's up in that position, and that's where he's strongest. Is Klopp might, as Dave said, Klopp might go with tried and tested in Bobby and Salah and Diaz out that way. But
big games, he rarely mixes.
Yeah.
He's very conservative in big games.
Yeah.
If you look back over the last 5-6 years, I mean, obviously with injuries, it makes you less conservative. You've just got to pick what you think is fucking. You've got to pick the right ties out of the box and hope you can have a good time playing with them. Like, I mean, obviously, Alisson's going to go and goal.
Yeah.
I mean, let's hope there's no more bleeding injuries in training the next few days. I think Gomez stays with Van Dijk. I think you've Trent and Robbo. Do you know what? Robbo's needs a bit more energy as well.
He does, He looks tired, doesn't he?
Yeah, and then the midfield, I think it's right. I think it's Hendo, Fab, and possibly Naby. And then if you're going to go with Elliott and you're going to go with Mo and you go with Diaz, that could be the team. That could be the starting 11.
That's a team that's going to be, because Elliott's going to make those runs over. You know, he needs games on the Liverpool where I know he's bulking up, but he needs a bit of speed, so he needs to start being able to run up those wings and receive the ball from the long balls from Van Dijk. It's key because Van Dijk loves playing those balls over to Salah. Fabinho tries it a couple of times, but look, I would love. That's my front three that I would love to see. Yeah. But he could just go with Bobby at the start and then ease in those players afterwards, you know. So I'm just hoping that Naby has a good game if he starts. You know, I want him to get going straight away, get him with a tackle, get ready. You know, just worry about his own game and don't be worried about what's going on around him. And I think he's okay because I think he second guesses himself when he comes back from injuries. It's like an anxiety thing with him. You can see it in where he plays because he's doing this look left and right thing. When normally when he's on the ball, he's just head first in without thinking. So yeah.
Jayanti, hello Dave from India. Wow. I actually have been on a few of the Indian channels, Menace and the Monk, with Manas and the guys, Needy. I've been on their channel a few times. They're great lads. And obviously it's an Indian channel. I think they live in Mumbai, somewhere like that. And huge Liverpool fan base over there, you know, in India. It's always great. You know, that's why I like doing it, Kev. I mean, we're live here. We do get people in from India, Australia, obviously Ireland, England, America, you know, everywhere, Germany. That's why I like, you know, the LFC family worldwide is unbelievable, and I love it. Crick D, Bobby is injured. Yeah, I think it's more precaution type of thing. I think Bobby be okay. I think he'd be okay. Well, I'll tell you what, we've given it almost an hour. I've enjoyed that. I might do something else this side of Monday, depending on what happens. Something could happen in the market. Something could happen with an injury. Some player could become available. And like I said, Jota could be training Friday and then has a chance of being even on the bench. You know the way sometimes back in training on the Friday pictures gives you a chance that, okay, you mightn't start, but at least if you're having someone like that in the bench will be a big boost, wouldn't it?
Klopp is saying that he's hoping that Firmino and Jota are back within a couple of days of each other.
What, did you read that somewhere?
Yeah, I'm reading it here at the thing from 10 hours ago. He was on he's talking to Danish football, I think, Jan Åge Fjørtoft.
Jan Åge Fjørtoft.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jota be huge. Jota be huge to have, even on the bench. Just gives us an option with 20, 15 to go for losing or we're drawn.
Especially with Darwin out, you know. We need that kind of lift going into the game. But Jota's dangerous against United. We found that out already, you know, the last couple of times he's played against them. But I think they'll be more worried about Salah. But if Jota starts, that'd be fantastic. If Jota starts, any one of them, Salah will always go middle to right. But like he could also keep swapping with Diaz through the middle. They can take up each other's positions easily. So that'll be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, I think it's come too early for Jota to start. Whether he makes the bench is the only thing I would say. You certainly don't want to rush Jota back. He hadn't even got a pre-season. He had a reoccurrence of that bloody knee injury, a ligament thing. He was ready to rock in pre-season, then it reoccurred. So they're certainly not going to rush him back to reoccur again. Then you're nearly in the market for fucking forward. I mean, they're going to ease off on Jota, and I want to see a healthy, ready to rock Jota. Eamon Kelly, cheers, chaps. Thanks very much for the stream. Absolutely, I've loved it. We've had Keith on and we've had Spider on. Spider, have you anything up and coming or any shows between now and Monday? Anything happening?
No, I'm going to start doing a couple of things with the Kitmen this week with myself and Kev. He's been suffering from long COVID as well for the longest while, so he's that twice. He's an issue with his lungs, but he's been out of action for a while. We're hoping to get him back this week. Other than that, it's mostly the stuff that you see on Irish Spider Guy on Twitch. Which is the game and stuff, and then coming up to the football stuff on the weekend. I'll be obviously jumping on a lot of lads shows and saying hello to everybody.
Boys,
and doing that, and then most of my channel is mostly watch alongs in that way, and once Kev is fit and ready to go, we'll be doing the little comedy sketches with him and the little
I haven't seen any of these comedy
sketches. They're not. They're there. There's lots filmed, but we're just not throwing them up until they're ready because there's some scenes to be shot and stuff. But it was being put back since last year because Kev was really bad with COVID for a while, so it put him out of action for about 6 months. But so we'll get up and running eventually. But I'm still enjoying what I'm doing at the moment, so that's good.
That's it. It's all about it's all about enjoying it, and that's what we do. That's the reason we do it. We want to win, of course. Winning and enjoying a chat about Liverpool is what you really want at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
But your health is your wealth, my friend. Your health is wealth. Thanks for all the guys in the comments. Thanks to Keith earlier, of course. We'll have Keith on again. I'll probably be doing something between. I mean, it's only Tuesday. We have a big wait till Monday night. I'll probably do something between now and Tuesday. I might have even on again, Spider. But as I say, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming in. You never walk alone. Thank you guys in the comments. Hit the like, hit the share. Over 5K now I have. I think it's 5,028 or something like that, which is, wow, not bad. So, you know what I mean? And just keep going. It's about the fun, though. It's a hobby. Ain't gonna be a millionaire doing this, my friend. But absolutely enjoy it. Stay safe. Talk soon. You'll never walk alone.